Okay, it is 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. Roll call has been taken. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ross, second by Bart to approve the agenda. Any questions or anything? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Minutes of the previous meetings. Anyone would like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve it. As from the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion by Bart, second by Ross to approve the minutes of the previous meetings. Any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public appearances, let the record show that no one present. Moving on to monthly business. Approve the vouchers and the checks. Anybody have any?
Okay, they're in here somewhere?
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's lots of pages with lots of numbers that don't mean nothing to me, so.
Yeah, that's the summary, and then behind that will be the detail of the checks.
There you go.
Right here. So these are the vouchers and the checks. All the different places we see.
Search money.
Payment
Yes.
invoices.
East Hardware, one of my favorite places.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers and the checks.
A motion by Bart to approve the vouchers and checks. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ross. Yeah, are there any questions?
Hey, the local government investment fund, is that money that you're putting into that?
Yes,
So you have to write a check out to the local government investment fund?
yep, yep, the Village of Madison,
They still making a lot of money?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Review the prior month income statement. So it should be the next, starting there.
Sewer Utility had a loss for the month of April because of the interest payment that we had to make on the loan, at $21,000. It was a lot more than, it all goes up in 1 month, so it affects that one.
We're still in the black for the year, though.
Mm-hmm. never find otherwise.
Anybody have any questions on the income statement? Okay, moving on. Council acts affecting the utility. Resolution 16/2025 awarding the construction contract for the 2025 East Oak Street reconstruction project, Main Street to Fair Street. Resolution 19/2025 approved to amend personnel policy handbook, paid time, section 201, hours of work. Moving on. Consumption and loss.
Rain in April.
Yep. And I'm sure the rain in May will show too. Okay. Anybody have any questions on consumption and loss? If not, we will move on. Review the totals of delinquent customers.
We did not do disconnects this month because it was 4 days after the tornado, 3 days after the tornado. We said we weren't gonna disconnect. We did still send out 24-hour disconnects so that people would still come in and pay. One, we didn't have the time to do this disconnects, but two, we thought that it was not the best interest to turn power off that may have been affected by the tornado in the first place. And so we just made that decision in-house to do that. No, Pam still did have payments come in with that
Yeah,
24-hour
we have that.
disconnect notice that was given yet, so just wanted to let you guys know that's what we did.
Okay, anybody have any questions at all?
Currently, how many you got out?
As far as like past due,
How many are disconnect?
from,
Well,
we didn't
anybody.
disconnect any.
Oh, period.
We didn't disconnect
Not
any.
the prior month either.
The prior month, we only
Prior
had
month.
2 left out, and that was because of vacancies.
Okay.
Oh, they're still out.
Yep.
Okay.
And you lost how many total in the motel?
It's 10 meters at the motel, plus 1 at the Blue Home on North Main. So 11 total. I don't know how billing's gonna go this month because our gatekeeper is being restored on Thursday. That should be in time for billing cycle. It's gonna be close, but as long as it works this Thursday, it's our biggest. That's what's up in the air right now is, are we gonna be able to collect all the data? Is everything gonna come through clean like it should? It should. We install this, if everything works, we should get all the data before billing cycles.
Billing's gonna go out late then. Won't be there until probably Monday at least.
Yeah, Thursday's the anticipated gatekeeper restoration, so. I don't know, what's supposed to happen is we got 2 gatekeepers, one on each side of the town. Gatekeeper just collects the meter data through the hubs, and then those hubs, send that data to North Star, WPB, North Star. What's supposed to happen is if one goes down, the other one is supposed to just pick up the rest of them north of town. But if they can't, for some reason, redirect themselves, or they hop from meter to meter, that's how data is transferred. They piggyback off, usually it takes 2 or 3 jumps to get to a gatekeeper. for some reason they get hung up and they can't redirect, that data is stored in the meter, just has nowhere to go until that new gatekeeper's in place. We tried putting one in the Goose Park bathrooms, the heating shelter, and we were having issues with it being inside and it just wasn't working, so Thursday, hopefully we get that all done.
So does that give them an extended time to pay then, if your bills are going out a week late?
We really discussed that, yeah.
I don't know if we
I
can
don't
do
know
that
if-
because of the POC rules, I'm not sure.
haven't
We get a lot of phone calls from people, if they don't have the bill on the 8th, so I'm sure that if they don't have it by like the 10th or 11th, they're gonna, phone's gonna be ringing off the hook.
Yep.
They're responsible.
They call looking for a bill?
residents. Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, we get, there's at least, I would say up to 10, 12 people that will call if they don't have their bill right away.
That generation will be gone soon.
Yeah,
Yep.
those are the ones that pay the bill.
Yes, like the day after they get it.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Reports of officials, utility accountant.
I put some thank yous on the center of the table there from the 2 scholarship recipients. They took a picture of Mac with the people that were awarded scholarships there, and then we just got those thank yous from the kids in the mail.
Yeah. That's the first time they've done that.
Yeah.
What's it took at the school too?
Very nice.
Yep, as soon as you're done presenting, you go down and they got the wall set up and you go there and somebody takes your picture.
And
Nice.
I've also gotten,
Same link, same one, yep.
yeah, it's the same one. They each sent one in with their thank you. We also got their information back of what
That's-
school they're
that's
going
fine.
to, so I have the information to send out the checks right away. Pam was talking to the Dodge County Housing Authority today. I think there's only 1 or 2 units that are open yet. So that'll be a benefit to us because they're getting the solar credits. And I believe this past month was about $650 that we had to credit back to the Dodge County Housing Authority because of the solar and the empty units that aren't being charged or aren't using any electric there. So that'll be a nice thing when they're all really full.
Still wants to be electrician.
What's that?
I was reading the card.
Yep.
The PSC annual report was filed today, I got that done. I have a couple of, they're called edit checks that we have to do, they question if there's been, on some of the accounts, if there's a greater than 15% difference from last year and whatever, they just wanna know, they want you to kind of look at the numbers and explain what happened. So like, one of them was about, the water main that we had, in maintenance of mains account. We had 3 water main breaks, so that was a lot higher than last year because we only had 1, so it's just that kind of explanations. So that'll be all done tomorrow. And then, the focus on energy, we're sending out, they did a report that they send to us with letters for sending out for time of day, usage that people can save if they switch over to having their service by time of day rather than just all the same rate the whole 24 hours. And that came to about 335 letters, I think we can send out, that it'll actually, the customers can save money if they would change to the time of day use billing instead of just a regular billing. So, and I believe that was for people that $50 or more a year that they would save. so we have, that project to do, send out the letters and see if we can get anybody to join on that program. We did it last year, and I wanna say it was about 140 letters I think we sent out, so a lot more this year. Other than that, I don't think I have anything.
Just on that same note about time of day metering,
Mm-hmm.
what do we have, Nick? Do we still have something seasonal? I know Ed had brought this to the table one time, it's like a reduced rate for winter. I just stirred my mind up whether we were still doing that or not. Rate per kilowatt hour was less in the winter months than it was in the summer months or something like that, if I recall. Is that applied throughout? I remember Ed giving it to us that time, and I don't know how well it was received, or if we did implement it or not. Thought it was something WPPI was pushing.
Yeah, they were doing,
I don't think,
I vaguely remember it.
we do not have that right now. I think there's only, out of that membership, like the WPPI membership, there's only a handful, and that's like the Door County and like Rhinelander, like the northern
More the tourist type places.
tourist, utilities. We don't have that.
No? I know it was something he was kind of promoting, and I thought we kind of gave him our blessing on it, but I don't think I ever heard anything after that on that.
We have the time of day, which is, you know, off-peak, on-peak hours, but not, we don't have a seasonal rate.
At the time of day on peak, off peak hours, that isn't across the board, that you have to apply for that?
You don't have to apply, you just, so on your My Meter account, you can do a rate study to see what would be the best rate for you to be enrolled in or be locked in it. We do an audit on this to see, make sure our customers are in the best rate case or rate standpoint there. But you do have the option to go on by yourself and go on your My Meter account and see what rate would best fit your usage data that you've been using.
We don't have anybody doing that?
What's that?
We don't have anybody doing that?
Mhm.
Yeah, we do. Like, off the top of my head, I know 1850s is on it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 10 or 12 people, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but like, if you do, and it's not just the previous year, cause like, can't remember for sure, but if you lock in a rate, you're in it for 2 years,
I think it's just 1 year.
is it 1 year?
Okay.
But it'll go back through your 5-year data to make sure like,
For
you
history.
just don't do it this year in the first 8 months, you're gonna save money, but then the last 2 months, it shows that you're gonna lose the money in the end, like, it does a couple years data to show like, yes, this month you would have been cheaper off, but in the next 2 months, you're gonna end up paying more in the end. So it doesn't just, it takes a long range of data to determine what service, if you're on the time of day or just residential or general.
And that's all handled through our billing software from WPPI, you don't have any extra headaches with it then,
No,
Lori?
no, they send us, they run the audits and they'll let us know if there's, you know, customers out there that should be on different rates, and then we reach out, communicate with them. They have the right to say no. But yeah. No seasonal though.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions for Lori? If not, Nick, electric superintendent.
All right. Legal action won't be like that. So tornado recovery update from the last time we talked. Friday last week we installed the 3 bushings on the north substation transformer. The process went smooth. We started right away in the morning. We were completed by 9:30. In the morning, we did retest the bushings. Everything came out. We retested all the rest of the equipment in the substation. Everything came back as the tests that were initially made after the tornado. We energized the substation, and we picked up the underground wire to the riser poles, but we did not pick up load. The reason I wanted to do that was, one, I wanted to make sure that the transformer was good over the weekend, that we had no leaks, because we replaced the gaskets on the bushings. We put some nitrogen in the tank to bring the pressure back up to 2.5 to 3 psi on the tank itself. So I wanted to sit over the weekend to see if we were going to lose pressure, if we were going to have any leaks. And then also the fencing company came in today, and we would have to take the sub back offline anyways. So to put load on it for 2.5 days was not going to make sense anyways. So Monday we came in earlier today. We phased the riser poles to make sure that with the transmission work and all the work that we did, that the phasing was still the same, which it was. We ended up calling ATC, notified them that we'd be opening our north side substation high voltage switch. That happened at 7:02 a.m. this morning. The fencing company came in, we removed the grounds on the fence itself. They have the old fence removed, and they have the new pole and concrete footing set. Tomorrow they'll be putting the chain link and the barb up and setting the gates, and they do intend on being done tomorrow. Trent from WPPI has been in off and on since that tornado to gather pictures and information from the gatekeeper and also the power meter. The power meter was good for WPPI. That's not a Juneau Utility's own meter. That's a WPPI own meter, so it's not affecting us, but they are planning on putting the new updated meters that they have and putting on these new substations, so he'll be replacing that as well. The biggest thing is, like I talked already, is the gatekeeper. He mounted it today, and Thursday we will be mounting the antenna for it in the morning, Thursday morning, and then Thursday midday afternoon we'll be putting load and restoring our normal opens or our normal separations between our substations. So Thursday we should be back in normal operation outside of our circuit 1 at our north substation. We're going to keep de-energized because we're going to be doing work on that in 2 weeks for the ATC Y134 job. So we're going to keep that offline. I have it grounded right now. We will have to back up that underground wire anyways to cut it and splice it and put new terminations on it to put into the new section cabinets or switch gears. So we're keeping that circuit off. What that circuit was is we added that additional circuit when we redid the north substation in 2017 or 2018. And the reason we installed that circuit was to basically give the jail its own circuit. The jail can run fine off of the circuit 2, so we're just going to keep it offline until we get the new underground installed. East Oak, that's all I got on the tornado as far as now. Just made some final purchases of inventory that was broken on the pole that have long lead times, 10 to 12 weeks on a GoApp switch, and got some estimates for that transruptor that was the fins that were ripped. I just got an estimate. We still haven't heard back from S&C yet on like their official recommendation whether it is to replace that or not. I want that information quickly so we can submit it to the insurance if not, that needs to be replaced. The estimate for that transruptor was $19,200, so it's a big deal. So if it is S&C's recommendation, we want to make sure we get that into that insurance claim. East Oak project update. You guys probably saw that the lights poles are up on East Oak and Miller Street. The only thing that's left to do on those poles themselves is to put the banner arm attachments on. We put up one on 1850s. It sucks. It really hard to do. So as soon as we get some free time, we'll put those up. The banner that usually go on there would come down in that short period of time, because they just put them up for Memorial Day, I believe, the veteran banners. So we already passed that timeline as far as when the banners would go up. So there's really no big rush to get those up and on. Hopefully we just find that there's tricks to get them on easier. The first one did not go well though. Fair Street update. We will begin pulling wire early next week, and we should be completed as far as the new installation by the end of next week. That will be wire, switchgear set, terminations. It's mostly 600 amp terminations, so they're more labor intensive termination. Each termination takes like 2 hours to do. It's a very complicated termination to be made. So best guess, if wire pulling goes in good, then end of next week we should be up and running, and then the following week we can start taking down the poles, which will focus mostly on the 2 that are affecting the East Oak project, where they don't have sidewalk poured around it right now. The ATC project Y134 update, so that's the underground rebuild that or conversion that we're doing for ATC for the construction that they'll be doing in January. JNR obviously has not returned because of the tornado. I will be giving a call back to give them the green light to come back in and start doing up around 26, going down Home Road, and to finish up over by Fairfield. And then as far as the ATC industrial sub update with the expansion of the fence, I did put a hold on that, not knowing what the outcome of this tornado recovery was going to be. The only thing that they are continuing to move forward with is the CA, which is the construction agreement with the PSC. The only reason we're moving forward with that is because the PSC is taking about a year to a year and a half to review CAs right now. And once that CAA is completed, it doesn't force you into completing the project. It doesn't force you into not completing the project. It's something that would be done no matter what. And it's minimal cost as far as the grand scheme of the project. We had the outage on yesterday, or June 1st, which was yesterday, at 2:25 a.m. Raccoon climbed a pole on North Fairfield. With our north substation being down, it was a widespread outage affecting approximately 335 customers. And of course, it's the last stretch of poles to check on that circuit, so it took us a little while to find it. But the power was restored shortly after 4. I attended the MUW conference the week of the 12th, and we received the gold category safety award through MUW. MUW has 81 members. 43 of those members were awarded gold through bronze. There was 20 that were awarded the gold, and we were awarded 20. There's certain criteria you gotta qualify for to qualify for the gold, and that includes any safety-related injuries, our trainings that we attend at Waupun through the MUW safety program. We have to provide records of our tailgates, our safety tailgates that we do before every job. We have to provide them how many work hours that we have between our employees, and then there's like a calculation that takes all the information that you submit, and it qualifies you through the rating scale what you would qualify for, if it's gold, silver, or bronze. So yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Nick?
2 of the 3 bushings you replaced just for good maintenance practice, do they show any fracture or anything there?
So the one bad one So the way it fails is there's, the bushing is hollow, and then the leads from the transformer come up through the hollow bushing, which then it's got a capstan nut that goes in the top, but we call it the Jesus pin, because if you lose it, you're SOL. So, Jason said, when we have free time, which we plan on doing, we got the whole one, to take a hammer and crack the porcelain on it. Because underneath the porcelain, there's gonna be a carbon wrapped paper. And you'll be able to see if there's tracking that's being involved in that carbon wrapped paper. And underneath that carbon wrapped paper is insulation, and then underneath that is more carbon paper, and so on and so forth. He goes, but on that outside, you'll see if there's tracking. So we're gonna do that to see if there's tracking, and just to see if there was something visual that was happening. But they did do a power factor test on all three of them, and that one was over triple, which he can't believe that, obviously we lost power, but he thought something more catastrophic would have happened with those kind of numbers that were shown. So visually from the outside, you can't tell. It was a little nerve-wracking in the first one, but after you did the first one, to be honest, it was a piece of cake. It's basically, 8 bolts off the top, takes off the gasket seal, and that's one bushing assembly. You undo the capstan's nut, pull the pin, you put a screwdriver in, you tie a string onto the top of the tap, and the lead goes through the hollow bushing. You pull the bushing out as you let that string go down so you don't lose the lead into the transformer. Take the old one off, set it on the crate, take the new one off, you alcohol wipe the bottom portion that's going to be inside the oil itself. You run a rotor through the center of the bushing with alcohol wipes as well. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Send the new one up. Put a new gasket on the base of the transformer. Put that string back through the bushing. Someone's holding on to that. Other person's guiding it in the transformer. The guy's pulling the string through as the lead goes up. Bolt it back down. Put that top lead connection back on, and you're done. Takes about 35 minutes per bushing, but way easier than I thought it was going to be. But good learning lesson to see what's all involved with that.
So do you maintain, or you keep the two that were good?
Yeah, so the two we saved, and that we got them in sealed boxes, so no dust or anything if we get in them. And we'll put those hopefully in a safe place we can find somewhere in the shop, which is pretty tight already.
Nick had a couple sleepless nights trying to find replacement for this. That's why I was asking, at least hang on to the used parts. You never know when you need them again.
Definitely gonna be holding on to the two. But I did do a load check on our 2 subs today. One was high as 85, and we're actually sitting really well. We're at about 570 amps on each phase, which we have the capability of about 1200 to 1300. Granted, we're not in those 90-degree weather days and humid where the AC units are running non-stop, so we'll be good to get this transformer back on.
I think a couple months back, you were talking about the ATC underground thing across the field back.
Yep.
And then you said something about AT&T didn't want to go. Has that been cleared up?
So they did reach out to AT&T and finally get a hold of them, and they do sound like they're still cooperating, or that they are cooperating now, but I still am thinking that maybe we should still pass some kind of city ordinance just to secure ourselves, that we don't have poles 6 feet apart from each other. I noticed, like, with this tornado, there's a lot of things that need to be transferred away. They haven't come in to do any of their stuff. Charter's almost got all their stuff done. So, it's hard to take someone's work when they have proven over the years that they're not backed by their words, so. I haven't looked at anything farther with, as far as verbiage would go. But that would definitely be something I would want to talk about. I want to talk to other utilities first before I reach out to Boardman and which is a utility attorney that we use. They're really pricey, so I wanna make sure that this is something that other people are doing first before we would pursue it. Have them, look into something that's gonna cost us money.
There was a point way back when we had an agreement with like Charter and the phone companies, we had about 3 of them all peddling their wares, that if our services were handled underground, they were obligated to put theirs underground. Now, I still see there's overhead drops for Charter going to homes up on North Main Street that have underground service. And they're well beyond like the 6 months we gave them to be able to make that transfer.
And I'll have to look through that agreement, cause I did not see that.
Yeah, that was years ago though, that goes back to that
And I wonder-
pole attachment agreement back in the days when they were first all coming on board. Yeah,
We don't-
that if your house is fed underground electrically, those services need to be fed underground, so that you don't have a separate drop. Like on North Main Street, there's a half dozen as you drive down the street from the filling station south to the old Catholic church, and you can see drops still running overhead.
And obviously we don't need to talk about this now, but I'll look into that. Everything that I saw was just, we do, our polls, yes, they have the 60 days, or, yeah, 60 days upon notification. It's just, these are ATC polls where we're gonna come in conflict. Like mine is, you have to notify, or ours is, we have to notify them 60 days in advance. And after the second notice, which you give it after 30 days of the 60-day notice, after non-compliance from the communications, we can cut their wires down, whatever we want, and then bill them for what we did. If we transferred it over to the pole, or if we cut it down, whatever it was, then we do have the right to bill them for our work. Problem is, these are APC poles.
Well, I'm talking just on our distribution poles down
Yeah.
North Main Street. I mean, apparently we're not enforcing it because some of this stuff has been up there for years, you know, that when we went underground, they were supposed to have a period of time to put their facilities underground if they didn't wanna go joint trench with us, and, they've been fed overhead for a long, long time. And I'm wondering if that didn't get lost between
I'm sure it did.
the transfer of
Yeah.
agreements, pole attachment agreements too. Maybe that language got lost from the first time it was drafted.
Yeah, and if notice, was notice given to them when that took place, I don't know.
I know we were working with Attorney Shasha at the time, that many, many years ago, when, like I said, the pole attachment agreements were all something that were all up in the air and what have you.
See, and I know the verbiage in this is if the pole still stays and we do a secondary riser, there's a pole there, like a 3-phase would stay, they do have the right to stay on those poles because the poles are there. Like, if we would just do a secondary service, they still can remain overhead.
See, that's not the way it was. The wording was that they had to duplicate what the utility was, how the utility was serving the customer. Our utility served them underground, they were obligated to go underground. After a period of time, if they elected not to go joint trench with us. So maybe that got lost. Like I said, I'm talking 20 years back, when this was all discussed and talked about, because
Yeah, this one's 2001.
it might have even been earlier than that, Nick.
Trying to think. I remember some of that stuff from when I was at council.
Yeah, because I think we had to do some of it through resolution and what have you too, but I don't know. It was just a good policy, so that you didn't have one utility hanging their services overhead when they were serviced underground by another utility or whatever.
Right, I agree.
But I mean, those ones I was barking about have been up there for 20 years that are still fed overhead from our poles. So just not so bad now that we got the trees out of the boulevard, that always used to be a hassle. Best thing we ever did. We would have even had more of a mess up there if with all the
Yeah,
trees.
for
We
sure.
still have trees in our terrace areas there.
For sure.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. I just thought I'd bring it up, and I thought if you wanna look into it, Nick, and when you have time, that's not, certainly not,
Yeah, no.
it's
Yeah.
certainly not
Yeah.
earth-shaking that we have to do it today or tomorrow, but I just kind of figured it got forgotten about because some of this stuff should have been transferred years ago, if we were still enforcing it.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for Nick? Okay. Moving on. Alex, water, wastewater.
First point of business is to review and discuss the 2024 compliance maintenance annual report. We've seen these every year. I forwarded to each of your emails earlier today. You got the chance to look at it. The long and the short of it is we got all A's and everything other than ammonia treatment, which we're aware of. We had some issues with ammonia last year.
I remember you talking about it.
So, we're trying to chase down our issues with ammonia, but otherwise, we're good with everything else, so we just need a motion to
Send
send
to
it to
council.
council
Make the motion.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Motion by Bart, second by Doug to send the 2024 compliance maintenance annual report to council. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Next item was, we budgeted for this in the past, and it kinda got put by the wayside. They have these hydrant buddies, they call them. So since we're pushing so much to do more flushing and valve turning, this is like a Milwaukee tool that would help you turn valves and operate hydrants. So, because now we're pushing so much to operate these things, I'd like to purchase one with funds that I would repurpose from, we had budgeted $5,000 for replacement of all of our fluoride pumps. I have since gotten word from the DNR that there is a pretty well-funded grant program for people that need money to replace their fluoride equipment. So if, let's say, some of our equipment were to fail, we could write for a grant to have the DNR replace some of that equipment. So we could, what I'm proposing is to repurpose that $5,000 from replacing fluoride pumps to buy one of these tools, which is quoted at $5,200.
Battery?
Yeah, it's a Milwaukee, it's a whole hog that's on a gear case.
$5,200 bucks.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Your case.
It's the gear case that is the expensive part.
Yes.
$20,000 roof is cheap, huh?
Does that take the 60?
Yeah, both of them. It's the regular M18.
Oh, M18,
It's-
okay.
Yeah.
Can you use the battery for other tools?
Yeah, it comes with 2 batteries. I think they're bigger batteries too, so,
9 ampere hour
I hope
probably, or
they're throwing
12.
batteries in on
Yeah.
that one.
yeah, so you
Tool only.
get $400 worth of batteries, but when you're paying $5,200.
No, but you have other Milwaukee tools.
We have other Milwaukee stuff too, correct, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll limp along what we have for fluoride. It's working now, as is, so, if nothing else, we'll talk about replacing it next year, or we'll see how the
So
world
you're
changes.
limping along, what does that mean? You got
It's
some
more,
issues?
there's always issues, where you we'll try to repair things as we can, or, do repair kits and stuff like that, as opposed to.
I'm just
full
wondering if you
replacement.
wanna start the grant writing thing now.
Oh, it won't hurt, yeah, and I just, I've been kinda staying at arm's length from that, cause obviously the world is turning in a direction that's not favorable to fluoride right now. But not to say that anything's going anywhere, but I'm trying not to stick too much money into it right now, is what I'm saying. Just trying
saying this might be a better use of the funds.
Correct. As opposed to just letting it sit and go unspent this year anyhow.
No, I hope at our last Public Works meeting, I hope I reiterated what you had said. It doesn't cost us a lot for fluoride treatment right now. We have an ample supply of it. There's no drop dead deadline to take the fluoride out of our water right at this time. And I'm hoping that Public Works doesn't push it any harder than what I kind of got an inkling last week that they were. Because I said, when well room improvements need to be done, that's the time we'll probably nix it. But for right now, we keep it in place. And Bart, Doug, is that pretty much the feeling, or at least that's the feeling I promoted at that meeting, but
Yeah, that sounds all right.
I don't see that we've gotta enact an ordinance right now to eliminate it. Seeing how you said that's not a real issue, it's not a real tough thing for you to do, it doesn't cost us a lot, so keep it in place until such time that we gotta do something about it.
It sounds like that grant program is good for pretty much anything, for pumps, scales, tanks,
No.
any minor equipment short of major well house projects with HVAC, stuff like that, so. I mean, I could write the grant tomorrow if I had time, and, just get new scales, get it new everything, basically, it wouldn't hurt anything.
It might not be a bad idea to,
Right.
when you have time to do that.
Right, and part of it too is, say someday you wind up getting rid of it, it's already bought and paid for, heaven forbid, you can maybe repurpose the scales or something else, or, use it otherwise, so. It's not the worst idea in the first place, but, yeah, I guess it's money that's in the budget right now.
Yeah, I would encourage you to do the grant thing.
And they're pushing us to utilize it. They didn't get a lot of applicants last year for it, so.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the hydrant buddy using the funds that Alex talked about.
Okay.
Repurposing the funds that
Okay.
the budgeted funds that Alex talked about.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Okay, motion by Dick, seconded by Ross to purchase a hydrant buddy with the,
All right,
Fine.
pump replacement funds.
okay.
Do you also wanna put part of your motion as encouraging our water wastewater superintendent
Sure.
to pursue the applying of
It's
the
not really,
grant?
I don't know if I can, but
Well, it's kind of a twofold thing. He's taken the funds that were reserved for fluoride
with
and
the
using them for
encouragement of pursuing a grant to replace fluoride pump
It's on
and
record.
parts.
You agree to that amendment, Ross? Okay, well, just for
Yeah.
purposes of, Lori, you wanna read that back so we know what we're voting on?
You can read it when I type it tomorrow.
Okay,
I think we're all.
Yeah, I
oh, we are.
We've got it.
So is there any more discussion? Can't get a hydrant buddy on this, grant, can you?
Unless it helps you get fluoride.
All right, well, test for it. So if there's any discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
The rest of what I have is just projects updates. They paved the driveway, both binder course and final course at the wastewater plant on May 19th and the 22nd. They poured a small section of concrete within the driveway on the 29th, so the driveway will be basically done, curing and everything by the end of this week. The last portion of roofing work was completed May 27th. Staub is working right now on redoing sections of lawn, tidying that up and making it pretty and getting rid of bumps and dead stretches of grass and stuff like that. So they're doing that this week. June 1st, yesterday, Troy came in for that power outage and took the generator around and ran both both lift station number 1 and 4. He came in to do that all by himself and did a great job. Didn't have any issues. I checked in with him just to make sure everything was going all right, but he was doing just fine. I'm continuing to gather lead and copper sampling sites. We do need to sample in June and then again in July to abide by the action that we had to, that the DNR was taking for our corrosion control study. I currently have 15 sites and I need 20 total to sample for this.
The house has to be built before
1983.
1983.
So anybody you know that has copper plumbing, or the biggest thing is no water softener and built before 1983, or a tap that is not softened that is regularly used. Usually there's some variety of copper somewhere that we could consider the lead soldered joints that we're testing for. So.
And it does pay you a little bit of money to have this done, have
I'm
the
usually
testing done.
leading the conversation with that.
Yes.
It gets people to listen, at least.
Can
so.
you do it on an outside hydrant?
No. It has to be either a kitchen or bathroom sink.
Oh, not one right by the water meter?
No. I wouldn't recommend that. And that was what was done in the past.
Okay.
So, yeah, just because it has to be something regularly used and preferably for drinking water.
So obviously you're not heating it up like we used to years ago before you
Well,
take the sample.
so you wouldn't do that for lead or copper, but we do still do that for bacteria sampling.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's my number one priority right now is to get that going, to get that done, so.
How many do you need yet?
It's only 5. So,
5 more or 5?
5 more.
He's got 15, he needs 20.
Business work too?
No, single family homes.
You probably mark me down. Maybe it'd be an incentive for my daughter and my wife to take the dog out or something. You can mark me down for a possibility.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know sometime, I can just double check what you have set up, and we can talk a little bit more about it. So,
Okay.
beyond that, I completed 2 interviews so far for our job opening. Neither came from a water or wastewater background. We haven't had a ton of applicants with that type of experience. The one that I did, that I had an interview scheduled with, called and said he already took a different job, so that went out the window. The better of the 2 was his previous work experience would have been in, his job was to take apart heavy equipment and other machines and write service manuals based on what he took apart. So, if you wanted a service manual for how to replace a transmission in a logging machine, you'd read the book that he wrote, and he'd write that based on how he took it apart. So he's mechanically inclined, socially would fit in well, I believe. And just willing, eager to learn about water and wastewater, but does not have any of that experience. As of right now, that's probably our leading candidate, but, we'll have to have a personnel meeting shortly to discuss that probably a little further, the action that we wanna take.
I guess I'm not that shy away either. I mean, I don't know if this individual would be local or not, but if you would like train someone that doesn't have that knowledge, the likelihood of them staying, I think, not experiencing other water, wastewater experiences or whatever,
No.
Or, yeah, so.
Yeah, and I've said it in the past and kind of shied away from saying that after one of our experiences, but I can teach wastewater. I think I can teach wastewater. I can't teach someone how to turn a wrench and teach those instincts. It just takes too long. So I like to have to have a meeting and.
You don't have to rush on anything either, but some more
More
schedule
songs.
issue.
Well, it doesn't help with how busy we've been lately. We sent out that schedule to do hydrant flushing, and that's out the window at this point. We're way behind, so we will get hydrants flushed when we get hydrants flushed.
This'll help.
It'll make it easier, for sure. Yeah.
Keep them batteries
Well,
charged.
it keeps your shoulders, keeps your shoulders from dying, but, yeah, it'll certainly help the operators.
How's the chlorine?
You tell me.
I think it's better, but there, again, I'm not a real gauge.
We've dropped it to the levels that we were hoping or praying would make a better end product. I've gotten a few, just in going around and asking people if I could sample their water, I've gotten a few people that said in the last few weeks it's been a little bit better. But
We've not been getting any calls lately either.
I would agree with that, because mine was pretty noticeable. It's less noticeable, but it's still there. But it's,
yeah,
it
it's
doesn't
maybe
bother,
not
it doesn't
as-
bother me.
maybe not as obtuse as it
Yeah.
used to be. Yeah, well, the plan is to basically leave it where it's at for a few months and kind of see where, if things settle down and people just get used to it kind of at this level. But we will see if the Facebook train gets going again at some point and go from there.
Many other things on there right now for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We,
Oh, jeez. My wife reads them to me all the time.
we purchased the TeamViewer software this month, which would help us remotely diagnose any issues that we'd have in the water and wastewater system. So we can actually look in and check on things during call-ins, or like during widespread power outages. You can kind of, we could be working at a lift station and checking and see, okay, if this one's getting to a high level, we gotta get there. So hopefully that helps us in the future with call-ins or any kind of issues that we may be having. East Oak Street downtown got paved, the base course, this last month, I believe it was. And we did wind up finding that the grading crew must have hit one of the water valve boxes, so RG Schmidt will have to come back in and dig it out and straighten it out. There, we talked about using the back, just to, because it's just cocked, so they'll have to dig down a little ways and straighten it out, fix it.
I would just watch your compaction after they do it, 'cause that's the
Is it-
hardest thing when you back something out, is you keep getting
Right.
gravel over.
Right, and you wind up having a hole around it, so.
This is the time to make, to do it, or it's just binder.
Well, and the worst part is it's right next to 50s, so, you know, we're gonna wind up cutting RG Schmidt would wind up cutting a 3x3 hole in the road, and it's just gonna sit that way for a year, but
Is
we
that-
could put cold patch or something on it, and just have them rip that back out.
Is that manhole extremely high, that extension extremely high in the, dead in the intersection of Fair and East Oak? Cause it's extremely ramped up to the point
Is it?
where I don't
Yeah,
think
it's-
the second layer, I think
It's
that thing
still
would
not
still
gonna
be
be
above
flat.
the, yeah, it seems like you hit that and you're, it's our downtown speed bump right now.
Well, all I can say with that is, RG Schmidt, I'm assuming built it to plan. And that we had nothing to do with the setting of that, so.
Okay, well, that's good to know, but let's make sure we do a follow-up that we don't ramp that thing up 4 inches, you know, over the base course, because that's just gonna wear and
Right,
cause
it's gonna
people
wind up
aggravation too,
sticking
because
out.
you go over that right now, and it's more than the finished lip
More than that.
that they got
2
ramped,
inches
you
or
know,
more.
so.
And that's one thing I think we should note for future projects too, that there's gotta be some kind of communication between the asphalt company and the MSA or whoever or the general, to notify them like, hey, like, we have our grade set, and this is still showing that we're at 8 inches where it should be at the 6
And,
inches.
and that's really one extremely frustrating thing that we've had with these projects over the last multiple years, is that when we try to set manholes, they're never right. No matter what we do, it's on North Street, we tried to redo them and set them, and they're terrible, they're way off. They wound up putting riser ring.
And I think the time to set our manholes is the grading company comes in and sets the grade, the final grade, and they give the general a day to rectify the manhole heights. Cause you can't, if you're going off of engineered spec elevations, we all know that what's on paper is not gonna be what's actually gonna happen out in the field. So like that timing schedule, there needs to be a day or two to rectify any of those issues before that binder comes in.
Cause we, and Nick helped us with that this month, was, we replaced the manhole casting on Miller Street and tried to replace some of the riser rings, so we just put it back to the elevation it originally was at. Then we get a call the next day saying, well, that's way too high. Well, nobody told us that they're taking the crown off the road. So, nobody ever communicates between the asphalt company and then the engineers and then the people doing the work, where this needs to land. So we wound up redoing that thing like 3 times to get it right, and it's wasting time, and you always wind up, if you're lucky if you get it right, but it's a really frustrating thing to, and on North Street we reset almost every one of those manholes, and then nobody told us that they're lifting the road 2 inches. So then they wind up putting paving rings in every one of them, which never seal right anyway, and they never work right. So it's just frustrating that I don't know how to go about, if I just need to talk to the asphalt company and walk through it ahead of time with the engineer when we're doing these projects, especially the mill and relays, because you don't think that much is gonna change, and then suddenly it changes a bunch, so.
And what was the logic of changing the crown on Miller Street?
Because it costs less, I'm guessing, because it went from a crown
Because, you know, we
road
we didn't change curb and gutter.
Exactly, they just
So,
dug it out.
you know, was that an extreme hump we had in the road to make the water run to the curb and gutter, you know, or what?
It was,
I'm confused.
it was like 3 inches lower that manhole is now than it
Yeah,
was.
it was like 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah, we tried to just put it back at the original grade, because we assumed they were putting the road back the way it was.
Yeah, we took a string line from curb to curb, measured the height of the existing manhole, we set it exactly the same height.
And then the next day they come by and they're like,
holy
this isn't gonna work. What?
Yeah, I guess it all starts at engineering, you know, we pay well for the engineering services to set those documents and send out bid solicitations and what have you. That should be your coordination point, right, though, you know, if they're gonna change that, that starts right at engineering.
Right, and before we even started any of this, I asked Chris, do you have an elevation for this? No.
Well, even if they do have the elevations, because
Yeah,
they gave us elevations on the handholds on Highland Street, and they were, I mean, what elevations they give you on the paper is not what ends up happening out in the field. There needs to be a period after grading, final grading has been completed to rectify any issues. And yes, it delays the project as far as the asphalt company's not gonna wanna come in and grade and then have to pull out, like I get that aspect, but.
Well, then you're telling me the street wasn't built as it was designed,
Right.
so, goes back to engineering, you know.
And I don't know if, you know, in those specs of the road design, is there a plus or minus built into the specs? I guess I never looked at that
I don't
close.
think to the magnitude that we've got in town when we're,
No,
I mean, there's nothing worse than having a finished
brand new road.
street and you're still hearing cars go over them when they hit manhole covers and what have you, let alone the ride that you're getting. North Street's a good example. I mean, there's a primary, you're doing You're driving like a drunken sailor to avoid the manholes and valve bodies because of the fact that they're all set inadequately, so.
So it's something that we're aware of, and it's just I'm just iterating that it's a struggle. So we gotta work more with engineering, or take more time ahead of time to coordinate what the ultimate goal here is, or slow some of this project down, but we don't wanna keep having projects that end like that, so.
Because ultimately, this table or the council table is where we hear the complaints, you know.
Right, well, they're gonna come and
Have
say,
to
we got a
answer.
brand new road that's bumpy,
Right.
so. Last item I got to talk about is, at the water wastewater plant, we did today start summer hours. We have not done that in the past, but there's nothing in the personnel handbook that says we shouldn't or couldn't, so we started that today.
So there'll be nobody leaving at noon on Friday, 11 on Friday?
We're doing 6:30 to 4:30, so then the 4 hours on Friday would be 6:30 to 10:30. I don't know if that's what you guys do.
Do 6:30 to 4.
Is that what I said?
You said 4:30.
Sorry, 6:30 to 4, correct. Yeah, and then Fridays you do,
6:30 to 10:30.
right, just trying to mirror them, so.
Okay. With any problems, as long as we can foresee, not have any problems, then.
We did get a call on Friday afternoon, for someone that needed a special assessment from City Hall, that, they apparently had sent out something already and hadn't gotten anything back, but it was for closing for today. So, just gonna kinda keep track of what type of issues we have with the Friday afternoons with all the departments, and, you know, whether it makes a difference or not. Since we're gonna be the only ones here
Still
in the
there.
city. Well, we're gonna hear them all.
That's all I got for today.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Alex? Hearing none, we'll move on. I have, well, in July, I think right now our tentative meeting with the WPPI is still there. And hopefully after that, the 24th of July, we're supposed to meet. Right now, tentative. But I can't tell you what, because it was all done in closed session, why we may have to meet. I'd like to tell everybody, but
Yeah, we were given explicit,
we were given explicit directions.
it's big things, but it's all good. That's all we can give you.
That's all I got.
So,
Here's the
other
ball,
than
Get ready, it's coming.
other than that, I don't have a whole lot. That went and presented both scholarships, as you can tell by the pictures. I think we got two good candidates. They were real appreciative, which was really nice. So,
I would like to add some under yours, Mac. August 4th, so our utility commission meeting, WPPI will be coming to give their presentation they usually do. They'll go over WPPI status, what services that we're using, just an update, especially for newer commissioners, just to give an idea. It'll be a small presentation that they'll give at the beginning of the utility commission meeting.
you know who we're getting?
Jake Olkey, I believe. And then I do have a request by both Mac and the mayor, and if Laura, you can help work on this, if we can get out thank you letters to those 10 utilities that provided mutual aid to us.
Okay.
And then have you sign on behalf of the commission, the mayor, and then I'll sign it as well. Would be great.
Are we missing the WPPI dinner meeting?
So,
There was that one in spring?
not MAUW should be this year.
MEW is doing free dinners this year.
That's,
Because they thought it was always weird that they'd invite people and then we would have to pay for the meals. And the only way we would pay is if we have, you know, we say we bring in 5 people and someone cancels last minute, then we would pay for the cancellation of the one. But those should be coming around. They said they're gonna release those dates coming up. But there was discussion of the WPPA ones that's just not quite yet. I think it's like July, isn't it? It's usually.
I always thought it was spring of the year.
That was like May or June last year.
I haven't seen.
it's every,
That would be nice,
those
though.
meetings are normally every other year.
Oh, okay. Well, that was last year.
And
So
we
that
were-
would be next year.
Alright. It's always worth going to.
Some interest, some good information. The MAUW one we went to Johnson Creek the last couple of times. That was
Harry's?
Highway Harry's.
Highway Harry's.
It's informative.
And it's basically a mirror of WPPI, just a little more,
Yeah. And I will get sometime, we should be getting another notice on when they're having a open house for the new people, so to go down and spend the morning.
yeah, unfortunately, we missed that one already. They had-
Yeah,
we'll
I
go
missed
in
it.
the tornado.
Could be another one in the fall.
Last
So
year
I-
was in June.
Yeah.
I think there was one like June 16th or 17th.
Yeah, that's when it was last year.
They'll probably have one in October.
Yeah. They do like, I think 3-year invitations.
That's how I will try and get that scheduled. When we get a chance, I will put us in for a couple spots. Whoever wants to go. It is good to get a refresher every now and then too.
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about. didn't we?
Yeah.
You and I, we were gonna
Yeah,
go.
it's interesting. I know we had one commissioner who finally went, and when we were extending the term of our commitment to WPPI, he went there, he was kinda against it. And after he went through it and he was all fired up and ready to roll, and he said, let's extend it. He didn't like us signing the contract until 2055, but that's the breaks of the game. So, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
No, I think we had a good meeting, last week about the tornado incident. And I gave kudos to whoever I could. You all received my letter, I guess. You all received my letter. I apologize if I missed anybody, but I think the city as a whole came together and did an outstanding job. Again, I give Nick kudos for all that he did. It was a massive undertaking to get that all done in the amount of time that was done, so I said at that meeting that there was real value in the MEUW mutual aid pack, and that's why I've always encouraged our utility crews to assist other communities in need, because you never know when that favor can be returned, and I guess we saw it come around full circle with this incident, so proud of everybody that worked extra hours to get it all done. I know we're gonna have some massive bills to pay. I still haven't heard that our government has signed a declaration of emergency for our community as of yet, so I might have to be writing some letters or making some phone calls on that, but we certainly do deserve some FEMA funding if there is any out there, but I know that comes with a lot of strings attached to it too, as far as time frames on time that we were without power and when power was restored. But, yeah, we certainly had a community that was under duress for at least 3 days anyway. And, like I said, I can't say enough about all the city departments coming together and making it work.
Yeah, we're at about, we're missing 3 mutual aid invoices yet, and we're at about $120,000 just in mutual aid.
And I have no absolute clue as of yet on how our insurance coverage is gonna be on a lot of that stuff. I know there's some things that will be fully covered and some things that probably be prorated or depreciated and what have you, but we gotta just take it one day at a time and, yeah. That's why we have accounts for these unknown things too, you know, so we've, there is money in our coffers on the city side to be able to cover these expenses. I mean, that's all part of our balanced budget for every year, so. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Any old business? Any new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Bart, second by Doug to adjourn. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried at 7:15.